inside of you.
Hi, and welcome back to Confident Leadership in Color. Last time we talked about clarity and how knowing what matters most helps you to lead the direction with presence and with purpose. Because when things get fuzzy, confidence starts to slip. But when we get clear, everything else starts to line up. And I want to start today with something you probably heard, maybe even said yourself. I have definitely said it once or twice or several. That is, I don't know how to, I want. As leaders and as humans, these phrases tend to show up in moments of pressure and resistance. But instead of seeing them as problems, I want to invite you to see them as clues. They are often signs that something is missing, that something is unclear, that there is need to be support or a new perspective. And that's exactly where clarity blends into ownership. Ownership isn't about pushing harder or doing everything yourself. It's about recognizing what's truly within your power, making choices from there. So in this episode, we will explore more about what ownership really looks like. Not as pressure, but as a power more. How a moment in my life has taught me the hardest but most freeing lessons of my career. And how a shift in the perspective helped one of my clients to move from frustration to real agency. And of course, you will have time to reflect where you are right now, to pause, to reset and take back ownership, wherever you are right now. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm Hanna Zaxmy, your host and leadership coach. So let's dive in. So it's Friday morning. Nothing unusual, still a bit tired, of course, but that was the norm by now. I sat up in the bed and ready to start my day. But then the world started to spin. Not in that fun or dizzying way, but in that nauseating, grounding and panic kind of way. I dropped back down, confused. I tried again, same result. And after the third attempt, I realized this is not just tiredness. This is something I can't push through at this moment. So I grabbed my phone, looked at my calendar, and saw, almost like a sign, for once I had no meetings. I texted my manager, I will take the day off. No meetings, so I will rest. He replied instantly, great, enjoy. See you on Monday. But here's the thing, the spinning didn't stop. All weekend I was knocked flat. Getting up and eat or go to the bathroom was a struggle. I was on my back literally and figuratively, forced to stop. And when everything around you stops, your thought starts. So I began reflecting. Yes, work has been full on, but I have really enjoyed it, most of it at least. I had been traveling across Europe and India and to meet my clients, to support my team. It felt meaningful. And at home, 2 small kids needing my presence. So to fit it all in, I had started getting up at 5, sometimes earlier, to squeeze in my runs before the rest of the house woke up. But here's the truth I had to face. In all of that, I hadn't adjusted anything to make space for rest. I had taken full ownership of my work. I had taken full ownership of my team, of my family. But I have failed to take ownership of my own energy. Maybe you can relate. It's so easy to add things up, but removing, saying, I need to stop, I need help, that's harder. By Sunday, I still couldn't walk properly. I knew I wouldn't be any use at work. So I made that call. I told my manager, I'm not able to work tomorrow. I need to take sick leave. This is not sustainable. Something needs to change. I need help. it was so hard to say those words. I'm someone who takes pride in managing things, delegating, supporting, delivering. But I need help. Those 3 words. But that was actually the breakthrough for me, because that's what ownership also is. Ownership doesn't always mean to doing it all yourself. Sometimes it means being honest enough to stop and to let others step in. And my manager, he responded really well. He stepped in, he adjusted my schedule, and I was given time to rest and recalibrate. And from there, step by step, things began to shift. And 9 months later, I was actually promoted to a much bigger role with greater responsibilities. And yes, I was proud, but I also was really scared. Scared of ending up back where I had been. But I have learned something vital. I had the power to take ownership even in those difficult situations, not by pushing through, but by adjusting, reflecting, and inviting others to support me. That is what real ownership looks like. And it started by being willing to say, this isn't working, I need help. Let's do this differently. My boss is so bad at listening. He doesn't seem too interested. He keeps pushing his methods on me. But I have more experience in this area. And based on that, I really don't think it will work. I'm trying to make him understand how he could do it differently. But he just keep talking and never listen. I'm so frustrated. I have heard those comments and similar ones from friends, from colleagues, and from coaching clients. And in this case, it came from Sarah, a client I had already worked with for a while. Yes, she was truly frustrated. And based on our earlier sessions, I knew that communication was something she deeply wanted to improve. And it was one of those reasons she thought out coaching in the first place. So to become more effective in how she shared her ideas, how she got through. So I asked, what can you take ownership of? Sarah looks at me and is quiet. And then, what do you mean? It's my manager who needs to start listening. He's the one with the problem. So I asked again. So what can you do differently? What's yours to own here? From there, we continue the session, exploring the situation from different angles. We didn't excuse a manager's behavior. We also looked at the dynamics in a different light. Sarah started seeing possibilities. She gained insights, confidence, and most importantly, agency. By the end of the session, she smiled and said, I can't wait. I'm actually looking forward to talk to my manager. I'm so curious to see it from his perspective. A few days later, I received a text. We had a great conversation. We both talked and listened, and we agreed on the next steps and how we will continue the dialogue going forward. So that's the power of ownership, because here's the truth. You can't control your manager. You can't control your team. You can't control anyone else's behavior. What you can control is you, your energy, your mindset, your approach. It's your choice to take the first step. Yes, you can influence others. At the end of the day, it's not about waiting for them to change. It's about asking, what's mine to own in this moment? So, if I were to describe ownership as a color, it will be a sapphire flame. Not the loud, wild kind, but a steady, focused burn. Deep blue, clear, courageous. Ownership isn't about control. It's about standing in your truth, choosing what's yours to carry, and letting go of what's not. It's that quiet power of presence and the inner fire that helps you to move forward one honest step at a time. So now I want to bring it back to you. So breathe. So here's your invitation. Where in your daily life are you waiting or expecting for someone else to change? When there might be something you can choose, shift, or take responsibility for instead. It might be a boundary you haven't fully named. It might be that you need to ask for help. Or it might be a conversation you've been postponing, waiting for that right moment that, well, hasn't come yet. And remember, ownership doesn't have to be heavy. It doesn't mean doing it all alone. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, I need help. I can change how I show up. I choose what's allowed to affect me. Just like in the previous episode, you can revisit the Clarity Workbook to support you in this reflection. This time, as you explore one of the area of your life, ask yourself, what's mine to own? What's in my control and what's not? What would it look like to take one small, clear action this week, just one, that brings me back or forward into ownership? And if you know that this is something you would like to support with, if you're ready to take that more ownership, but want a sounding board, tools, or a space to grow, I'm here to support you. So whether that's through coaching, one of my courses, or simply starting a conversation, you're welcome to reach out. Because ownership is where real leadership begins. Not in a blame, but in presence. It's responsibility and encourage to take the next honest step. So, as we wrap up today, I want you to remember this. Ownership isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's not about taking everything on your shoulders. It's about standing in your power with honesty and heart. Sometimes it's actually about saying, hey, I've done my best. Now I move on. When you start to take ownership of your energy, your boundaries, your voice, you create space for real confidence to grow. Because confidence doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from making the next clear choice. The one that aligns with who you are and what you value. So what's the one step you'll take this week to come back or go into ownership? And if you'd like to support, don't forget, you can download the Clarity Workbook. And if you have questions or thoughts about the podcast, I love to hear them. You're always welcome to reach out to me directly at podcast@migmatit.se. In the next episode, we will take the next step in a confident framework. N is for nurture. Because confidence doesn't grow from pressure. It grows from care, attention, and trust, especially towards yourself. So until then, I'm Hanna Zaxmy, and this is Confident Leadership in Color. Thank you for listening and keep leading from your true colors. And if this episode sparked something in you, if you're ready to deepen your leadership and want someone by your side, I love to support you. Thank you for today.
Bright and brave in every hue. Confidence starts inside of you.